So, right, well, some sensitive topics are going to be broached here, and I want to be as delicate as possible. So, I am, to use a big word, jettisoning, plugging the channels. I will plug the Kubrick channel because this channel has 2 copyright strikes, one of them from Aaron. So, I urge people to go to the Kubrick site just to sign up formally. So, hopefully, if anything happens to this channel, I can sort of reconstruct from that channel. But that is about it. And I will make one quote plug for channel membership, but that will be down the road for a reason. So let me get to 2 elephants in the room. One elephant is that Shannon, activist, who went public with accusations against Louis Repetto, and let's be blunt, and again, if you want more background, just go to the other video. Really, if these accusations are true, then Aaron Smith Levin, aside from being, to put it mildly, a really evil person, we'll put aside the issue just even ethics, could be charged with being part of a criminal conspiracy. Because if you knowingly are letting people being victimized, yeah, that's a criminal act. So he could end up in jail. So I want to be careful here. These are serious accusations. So Shannon and Mandy went public with their accusations. And DOA is charging Shannon with lying. Well, first, I think you have to be clear about what is lying, what is not lying. Lying, I would take to be 2 things. One, you're misrepresenting factual data, right? In other words, let's say I state in one video I was born, whatever, hypothetically, 1975. But then whoever, for whatever reason, somebody looks up the birth certificate and says, oh, no, you were born in 1974. And then we look further, it's like, well, the person was born like December 30th, 1974. So sometimes he's listed at 74, sometimes he's listed at 75. Me going with 75 is not a lie, right? Because factual data can be fuzzy, right? This has even been empirically shown if you really get into it. There is going to be cases. Let me give a simple, very simple case. Let's say you do a statistical study of a town. Population doesn't matter. Anyway, you get the figure that for every household, you have 2.5 people. Those are the facts, right? The numbers were clear. You went through it properly, and you're getting the result of 2.5 people average live in a household of X town. 2.5 people don't exist, obviously. That don't make any sense. There's no such thing as 2.5 people. So again, knowing what facts are, how they're really done, helps. And I've studied this thing for like, going out really would be almost 30 years about how are facts produced, what is a fact, what is truth. And we still have no clear, we just don't. We just have very different repertoires from very different schools of thought and so on and so forth. I mean, I could go through the list: idealism, realism, neorealism, critical realism. It just keeps going on and on. Deconstructionism. There is just no end in sight to that debate. What is true? How do we ascertain truth? I'm reading Plato in the original Greek. So this debate has happened for thousands of years. I don't see anything that's going to really definitively stop it. We just have different perspectives about what truth is. So as far as my knowledge goes, what happened is Shannon lost someone recently, a loved one, and she didn't give all the full details about what happened. Okay. Does that mean she lied? I mean, she was withholding information. Now you might say, well, that's suspicious, etc. Well, this is what gets to the second elephant in the room, is privacy within this particular space, whatever we're going to call it. And I don't want to say it's anti-Scientology, because it's not, right? There are people who just do anti-Scientology, activism, that's fine. Probably the golden case here is Jerry Armstrong. He's been doing anti-Scientology activism for decades. Jerry's as close as you're going to get a saint of this movement. He's not perfect. I have my disagreements with Jerry, but for the most part, 100% good guy. He's had some disagreements and fights, which is inevitable in the space, but as far as I know, he's always been honest. He may get, again, things wrong here and there. He may even get the facts wrong here and there, but I've never doubted his sincerity or honesty. So they're just good people who do the work, they live their lives, and that's it. If you want to get to know them more, whatever. But again, they're not here for that, right? In other words, they're not here to and again, if you want to try to get to know him better, hey, I believe he's in Canada. Have at it. I've gotten a very respectful comment from him, and that meant the world to me, and that's as close as we've gotten. So, somebody withholding information because they want to maintain their privacy, it's like, I don't see the big issue at all. However, there's also charges that some of the information regarding the Jane Does may have not been accurate. It's like, okay, well, we have a process. Just got to be patient because police reports are being filed. We'll have to just wait patiently for the process to go forward. And what is true and what is not true. I think there's enough to say a lot of these charges are true because I've literally seen the evidence. So I've seen it myself. However, I'm also a bit of a liberal there that I think everyone deserves a day in court, and a day in court will happen, and we will see what happens, and that is all there is to it. The basic gist here is I will just grant, for the most part, immunity with privacy issues. If X or Y happens in private space, I really don't care. I just don't. So how to maintain consistency here, because I brought up Kenny and him possibly having a cheating scandal. Well, the problem there is the way DOA, Lara, and others are operating, that they're trying to get into the background and private information of various people to control them. It's like, okay, fine. I don't think that's a good idea. So if DOA wants to call out Aaron's various scandals, that's fine because that's on the public record. That's not getting into private life at all. And Aaron does run, to put it mildly, a very questionable foundation. Right, okay, but now we're going into cases like this with Shannon. Okay, why are we doing that? And the answer is, well, he's double checking the bad actors, yada, yada, yada. Well, that can't be right because, and now it's impossible for them not to know, right? At this point, DOA, Lara, and their various people in that group are aware of what's going on with Kenny. So, as far as I know, Kenny's still fine. He's still in the chat with DOA. He's not been expelled or whatever from the movement. So it just seems we're just running into this dilemma over and over again that we're judging people not by, well, what did they do or even who they are, but are you friends with or allies with this or that leader? So if you're a friend of Aaron, Aaron gives you immunity. Says, well, I don't really care what that person did. They're my friend. And that's it. If you're not his friend any longer, like Mike Rinder or Claire Headley, then it's time to unleash a witch hunt. And we're just going in a big circle. So that seems to be the primary criterion, right? And Shannon and DOA don't know each other very well. So once again, DOA is, well, you're not really my friend. So therefore, that seems to be the real criteria. So, and again, this is not really to plug the channel memberships. My criteria has always been very simple, is focusing on the people who do the most damage, right? So with Scientology, obviously that's Miscavige. Yes, of course, I can't deny sometimes the celebrities I focus on, they're not that important. I do think Ashton is really a difficult case because he has pumped in a lot of money into Scientology. So it's worth criticizing him. But really the focus has been on people who do the most damage in Scientology, right? Miscavige and several key leaders there. And then we have these other, whatever you want to call them, neo-Scientology cults that Aaron is running. He's doing a lot of damage. And he is. I mean, we're talking about victims in the several dozens by now. So the focus is on him. And it's going to be a fuzzy line. Well, is that technically public information or private information? And you can go back and forth on that. I just don't see that with Shannon. I know people have disagreements with Shannon. I know some people don't like her or her activism or the way she frames things and so on and so forth. But is she running a cult? Is she a cult leader? No, I don't see that. Is Aaron a cult leader? Yes, he's running a cult. He's full-blown running a cult and trying to damage and destroy people. He just was badgering an old woman just a few days ago now. So it's like, it's just getting a little silly, frankly. And again, I'm not even going to name this person. I want to keep this pretty compact in terms of information. But I will sometimes deviate from the rule for a reason. So there was this minor fraud protester. And this is not disputable. This is on camera. This went on for a long time. People know who this is if they've been keeping track of this stuff. For like 10 minutes, this guy just went on and on and on saying, well, I'm not really a protester. We're really just reality stars. And, we should do it this way. We should do it that way. Yeah. And it was on his own phone, apparently. So he accidentally completely exposed himself as a fraud. He's not one of the bigger protesters. This is not Good or anything like that. So anyway, I did focus there on some things that might legitimately say, well, that's kind of privacy, right? Like usually, for whatever reason, if someone changes their name or even changes minor details in their background, it's like, whatever, that can be whatever. That's their private information. This is privacy. Again, it might be public information, but it's like, I treat that really, who cares? Why get into that? However, this person also apparently is impersonating another ethnicity. They didn't just change their name. They literally are pretending to be another race or ethnicity than what they really are. And you're like, huh? And they're trying to sell products. So they literally created a new identity for money, and they, quote, and I'm putting quotation marks here, got into anti-Scientology activism for the money too. So in that case, privacy should still be respected, but now we should double check a few things because that seems very much alarm bells. I'm not seeing anything like that with Shannon. And to be fair and consistent, I don't even do that with DOA. Like with DOA, there's these questions with restraining orders regarding his family. But I'm willing to be, we don't know everything. Let's be careful here. However, it's not just his family members, right? Legal and other issues with people beyond his family. So that's where things get suspicious. And people from other movements. And all I'm getting from DOA is, well, do you know that this person did this? And do you know that this person did that? That is not relevant. The question is the information good or not? And he can put in the comment section, you need to tell me if the information is bad. And he's saying, at least with one of these Jane Does, the information was bad. Okay, great. We'll work through it. And there we go. No need to get into doxing. No need to get into private information. No need to hit below the belt. We'll just go through the information carefully. I don't see the big deal here. I'm very suspicious if the reason you're going to get into someone's private information is to discredit them. Like, why? Why is that? Because they're not obeying a certain leader. They're not towing the line of a certain, whatever you want to call it. Now, a popular cult figure in this atmosphere, whether it's Good, whether it's Aaron Smith-Levin, you go through the list, that seems to be the norm, right? We follow the leader. If you don't follow the leader, you're going to get disciplined. Why are we following these leaders? Don't know. That's just a thing now. It has nothing to do with anti-Scientology. If you want Scientology, go with Jerry Armstrong. If you want not anti-Scientology, then that's Aaron, that's Streets LA, and this other stuff. It just seems to be a spectacle to put them out these very questionable reasons. And if you don't obey, they try to destroy you. Which is like, okay, well, that's very, very iffy. That's very iffy. So I do congratulate DOA for going after Aaron and exposing a lot of the bad acting that he does. But I'm not so sure these other witch hunts make any sense. I'm not sure where we're going with this. But, right, Shannon is a grown adult. I take for granted when family tragedies happen, you don't want to reveal everything. That's perfectly legit. I don't see anything to damage her credibility. And if you want to criticize her activism, you can do that without getting into any of this very sensitive stuff. And that's me. And I've tried to apply that rule very consistently across the board. And it'll be applying to me too, saying, well, what about this in private? That is not for discussion because I don't discuss that in terms of other people. Even with Nora, to put it mildly, I would question how she's raising her children because, frankly, she's also acting like a cult leader. However, I don't know enough to really say anything, so I'm not going to say anything. Although I will do one major fact correct that she keeps crying about her children. One of her children is a grown adult. He's 19. He's not a child. So it's when you do stuff like that, that's when things get alarming and you're trying to control people. That's what I'm going to call out. That's not doing any doxing. That's just like, wait. Don't describe it that way. That is a lie. That's not misrepresenting things, right? Protect people. That is lying. And there we are. It's not a great rule, but that's my two rules in terms of who does the most damage. And should we get into the very sensitive area if it's relevant to the topic. And that's where I stand.